You see, I've always wanted to say this, but in order for you to understand anything, you actually need time. Now, what do I mean? You see, whenever I tell students that for you to actually understand a particular subject or course you're actually studying, you need to start studying that course early and not wait for when exam is close to actually study it. Because when you start studying a week or 3 days before your exam, you're actually studying to pass the exam, not studying to understand the course. You're going to have issue on the way. So, for you to actually understand something very deeply, you need a very long time. And let me explain. You see, there are various studying techniques, and all of them are actually good, but you need to use them strategically. So, for today, I'll be talking about the 80-20 rule, and I'll be talking about the Feynman technique, but only in way that I actually use. Now, you see, the 80-20 rule is you will study 20% of the book to gain 80% of what the book is, the knowledge that the book is going to give to you. Now, sometimes you look at it, how is that possible? Now, you can actually make it possible when you know you have a lot of time and you spend a lot of time studying that course. And another way to make it possible is when you join it with the Feynman technique. Now, the Feynman technique is very easy, but the way I actually use the Feynman technique is very easy, and it requires a lot of time. Now, what do I mean? If, for example, I'm studying about a specific subject or a specific course, I would start early, like let's say beginning of the semester or beginning of the term. And some people will say they will study one chapter, or they will study a specific topic. But no, you study until you understand. So even if it is just one page, you're able to study for 4 hours. As far as you can understand deeply what that page is talking about, then you're good to go. So these are actually doing my own studying. So you open your book, you sit down in the bed. Like I like studying in the quiet area. Some people like study in a very low, subtle noise, like in the midst of music and the rest. But I like studying in a very quiet place. So when I'm studying, I would open the page. When I study, let's say study like the first paragraph or the first information that is really that I really need to learn, I would take a break. Like not like you will just take a break and start playing game. No, I will pause, close my eye, and try to visualize what that paragraph is trying to teach. Now, during the process of visualizing, you are creating connections with things you already know, and you start discovering some things that you don't even know that you're going to discover at that point. So you are visualizing, creating connections. Then when you visualize, you create connection. Your brain is ready, like process those information. Then you would stand up, or while you're sitting down. Like for example, I use 2 ways to do this. What I want to do is to explain it as simply as possible. So what I have to do is I will stand up, and while walking around, I'll be speaking to myself. I'll be repeating all I can remember and all I can understand about that information I just got, that paragraph I just read. So I'll be walking about and trying to explain it as simply as possible. And anyone I don't know, it means I don't know it, I have to go back to study it. Or I would take out my jotter and I will write down everything I can remember. Everything I can remember that I understand. For you to know that you understand something, is if you can translate whatever you've studied, or if you can translate that information in your own word as simply as possible, that even a 5-year-old can actually understand it. So you do like that. Do it for the first paragraph, this for the second paragraph, until you understand everything that those paragraphs are talking about. Then you can now take a break. You can now stop for that day, whatever. Like me, I study minimum 2 hours, and sometimes I study for 4 hours, 6 hours, depending on how big and how important the course is to me. But it's not about how long you study. It's actually about how much information you can actually retain and remember, and how much you can understand from that information. So we'll see again in the next video when I'm talking about other study techniques and study tips. Don't forget to follow, like, share. Someone might actually need this. Thank you.